You ready? You're rolling?
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Rolling. You're rolling?
Yeah.
So, we are here in the Thar Desert, in the city of Jodhpur. The Thar Desert is the most densely inhabited desert on the planet. There's about 25 million people that live in this desert. It's an incredibly hot and dry environment. On the Köppen-Geiger climate classification, in the Köppen-Geiger climate classification system, this is listed as hot desert. Actually, I don't even need to worry about that. One sec, let me see what I'm saying. Yeah, so we are here in the most densely populated desert on the planet. And in our trip thus far, I've looked at a lot of locations where groundwater recharge and then pulling the water out of the ground to then irrigate. So groundwater recharge of the surface aquifer has been the main strategy. But here in the Thar Desert, the conditions are so harsh, both underground, we've got salty aquifers, and also the rainfall is so scant that a lot of the areas that we visited are literally surviving on 1, 2, or 3 rainfall events in the year. So it could be a 6 inches total, it could be 9 inches total rainfall, maybe 10, maybe 12, but overall, there's just these few intense episodic rainfall events that happen in June and July, or in some cases just July. So just in 1 month of the year, they may have 3 rainfall events that basically, that is all the water they have to live on for the entire year. So the strategy, instead of sinking water into the ground and having a groundwater storage, the strategy has been more in managing surface runoff and storing water in surface ponds and surface tanks and surface catchments for direct use from those surface reservoirs or surface storages. So there's a really big difference when you are collecting surface runoff for use versus banking water into the ground in the shallow aquifer for later use. These are very different strategies. Now, some of the places that we've seen, the really lush places in the Thar Desert where really luxuriant, extensive crops are grown, like mustards and millets and cumin seeds we saw. These areas that are pulling groundwater are actually mining groundwater. I mean, they're pulling groundwater and they're dropping the water table. So, you know, we're here visiting Gravis, and some of the work that Gravis has been doing has been working with these farmers that are basically mining and dropping their water tables to form water user groups, to form farmer collectives, so at least they can intelligently and collectively address their water usage and their dropping water tables. Gravis is really encouraging rain-fed agriculture. We saw that in the various structures that we visited, whether it was the bunds along fields to retain water in the cropping fields in order to have a moisture bank in that soil for their cropping, or whether it was actually pond structures or some of the other check dam structures that Gravis is very well known for, as well as the tankas, or the direct rainwater storage off of roofs. Gravis is really well known for rain-fed agriculture, promoting strategies around rain-fed agriculture, and those are the strategies that they are conveying to these different farmers that right now are mining groundwater and dropping the water table. Let me look at my thing here. Now, one of the reasons why this area was so rich historically, right? We don't think of an area with this scant rainfall as being very rich. But as we see by the Mehrangarh Fort here in the background, right? Rajasthan has this rich history, all of these incredible architectural monuments, and part of that is its geographic location, setting between the ancient Persian Empire and the various Indian empires that existed here. So Rajasthan was the crossroads between different empires. So major trading route, which really made it a very rich place, and that's why we find all these monuments here. But agriculturally, it's always survived on rain-fed agriculture. So if you don't have the means for storing water for irrigation to grow a second crop, then you only are growing a crop during the monsoon season. Some of the places we visited have irrigation water and they're growing 2 crops right here. Right now we're here in the dry season, but many of the places that we visited really are only planting with those couple rains, 2, 3, or 4 rains that they're getting during the monsoon season. So when you're dependent on just one rain-fed crop, it's very difficult. It's a marginal life, because if the rains fail one year and your crop fails one year, then you have no income, you have no production. So we saw some really difficult, really marginal conditions for a number of these farmers that we visited. It was really hard for me to see some of the, it was really hard for me to actually witness just how marginally some people were living, and to hear the stories of what it's like for people before the intervention of Gravis, putting these water collection structures in, what it was like for people to go and to have to walk 4 kilometers to get water, have to walk multiple times a day to get water, and all of the time it took, all the energy expended just getting basic drinking water, and how that impacted people's lives and how that impacted their livelihoods because of all the time and expense they used just to collect water. So my feeling, I get this like a little bit of an overwhelm to see the magnitude of the issue and how much work needs to be done for people here just to secure their basic needs. It's overwhelming to see a system like this, yet visiting the work of Gravis, who's been working here for nearly 40 years, and seeing the large-scale impact. We visited many sites here throughout the area that Gravis is working on, throughout the Thar Desert, primarily in rural areas. We visited many sites and saw so much work that they've done and how they have changed the livelihoods of the people here, that I get some inspiration and hope. Because what Gravis has shown here is that you can actually make an area that is this harsh, this hot, with this marginal rainfall, you can make it inhabitable for people. You can create water resilience, food resilience, and climate resilience, even in a place with these conditions. For those from the US, just to give you a little bit of perspective, it's like if you lived in Phoenix, Arizona, but the temperatures were even hotter and the rainfall was even lower. And the rainfall came not in 2 seasons, in a winter rainfall and summer monsoon, but all of your rain came in a 1 or 2 month period. So that's the level of conditions that we're dealing with here for the majority of the Thar Desert. I think that's good for that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm rolling.
All right.
It's rolling.
I am here at the end of a 2-month journey visiting some of the most inspiring and innovative water projects across the country of India. I'm here at the end in the desert of Rajasthan. I started in the delta of the Kaveri River down in Tamil Nadu, in this incredibly wet, juicy delta area with rice growing and water buffalo. And the strategies that I was looking at there was actually how to deal with and maximize this incredibly large and abundant volume of water. So we landed in Chennai and traveled up the Kaveri River Delta all the way to the city of Coimbatore. In the city of Coimbatore, I met with an organization that was restoring the lakes of the city that were built thousands of years ago by the ancient Chola dynasty. And these lakes were part of why the city was there, located in this place, and was able to thrive. And this organization was then cleaning out and restoring the old canal and lake systems in order to restore the water system and the groundwater of the city of Coimbatore. I then went to the highlands of the Kaveri River Basin and met with the Isha Foundation, founded by Sadhguru. The Isha Foundation is actually doing one of the largest scale reforestation projects on the planet. To date, they have actually produced 84 million They've actually produced 84 million tree seedlings that they've distributed out to the farmers of Tamil Nadu. And their goal is to bring the overall forest cover of the state of Tamil Nadu up to 33% forest cover. And they're really actually well on their way there. So the first 3 episodes of this series are visiting the Kaveri River Basin. Now from the Kaveri River Basin, I went down, I took a train around the southern tip of India and went to the backwaters of Kerala, where we visited Monroe Island and saw some of the really intense saltwater intrusion effects on this incredibly vibrant water system. And we toured around Monroe Island and toured around the backwaters of Kerala, looking at the interface between fresh water and salt water at sea level. From Kerala, I traveled up to Bangalore and I looked at the Million Recharge Wells for Bengaluru project. Now, Bangalore is a city that has expanded incredibly rapidly over the last couple dozen years. And they went from being the garden city, known for its trees and vegetation, to this very rapid urban expansion, which put a tremendous amount of pressure on their groundwater system, on their water availability for the system. So they had bore wells, deep wells that began to go dry. And so I visited this incredible project that is working to actually create 1 million recharge wells to recharge the surface aquifer in the city of Bengaluru. And the amazing thing is, their goal of 1 million recharge wells, they have already constructed or rehabilitated 250,000 recharge wells within the city of Bengaluru. So, incredible groundwater recharge project, and I really had the fortune of traveling all around the city and seeing some of the great work that's been doing throughout the city. So they're 1/4 of the way there towards their goal. Now from Bangalore, I traveled up to the city of Pune to meet with a dear friend of mine, Anand Chordia. Anand Chordia is the grandson of the founder of Suhana Spices. Suhana Spices is currently the 3rd largest spice company in the country of India. Now there's 1.4 billion people in India, so the 3rd largest masala company is pretty darn big. And Anand Chordia toured me in his net zero warehouse, where they've created a 45,000 square foot industrial space that is net zero, zero water, zero energy, zero carbon, right? It's an incredible project to see the industrial scale of when permaculture is applied at the industrial scale, and to see all of the repercussions of the good work working towards environmental, towards ecological sustainability from Suhana Spices. So from touring the Suhana Spice Factory, I then went and met with the Pani Foundation. Now the Pani Foundation is an organization founded by Bollywood star Amir Khan. I met with them 3 years ago and documented a couple of villages that took place in their water cup competition. And these videos were viewed millions of times, and all this time, since I put out these videos 3 years ago, people have been asking me, they're like, what's the Pani Foundation doing now? So I went to go meet with the Pani Foundation's chief advisor, Dr. Avinash Pol, and we visited 4 villages in rural Maharashtra that now are not just working with the Pani Foundation, are not just participating in the Farmers Cup, but are also participating in, they're not just participating in the Water Cup competition, but they're participating in the next phase of competition that the Pani Foundation has put out, the Farmers Cup, where different farmers groups are competing against each other to have the best organic production, to see which farmers group can actually can break through and have the most abundant and healthy production in their villages. So it was incredibly inspiring and mind-blowing to see what the Pani Foundation is up to now. Should I wait a minute for the call to prayer? Okay. Allah Akbar. And should I go back a little bit? Should I go? Yeah. I actually really don't mind the heat, you know? I'm a desert guy, really. I actually feel at home here in Rajasthan. It's like Arizona. It's a lot like Arizona. So, so from Pune, I went out, and I would consider this the epicenter of my journey, which was meeting with the Pani Foundation. Now, I visited with the Pani Foundation 3 years ago and spent a couple days with their chief advisor, Dr. Avinash Pol, traveling around and visiting villages who had competed in the Water Cup, a competition that was put forth by the Pani, a competition to see which village could build the most amount of water harvesting structures in 45 days. So this time we went and we visited with villages who had already solved their water problems from the Water Cup, and we're now competing in the Farmers Cup. The Farmers Cup got farmers groups to collectivize a group of at least 20 people, and they would work collectively on their farming, on their production, on their reducing their chemical usage, creating organic production, creating residue-free production, creating cooperative labor structures to see which farmers group could actually be the most productive and abundant farmers group. So it was an absolute highlight of the trip, going to these villages, and we were welcomed with, I have never been welcomed in the way that we were welcomed to these villages. And in fact, some of these villages, we were told we were the first foreigners to ever enter these villages. So it was a true treat to go around with Dr. Avinash Pol and the Pani Foundation. From there, I traveled up to Rajasthan, right? So we went from the wet delta of the Kaveri River up, right, to Bangalore, Kerala, Maharashtra, and finally to the deserts of Rajasthan. We started in a wetter part of Rajasthan, the Jaipur area, visited with Lakshman Singh, who is a very renowned water harvester who's been working on the village of Lapuria and the surrounding villages, doing water harvesting and tree planting and water table regeneration and ecological regeneration for 45 years. So where the Pani Foundation was working on projects and restoring their water tables in 45 days, we got to visit a project that was actually had restored their water tables and ecology over 45 years. So it was a spectacular couple days that we spent visiting around with Lakshman Singh, seeing the incredible projects in Lapuria village and surrounding areas. And then from there, we traveled out to the driest part of India, to the Thar Desert, where I am right now. We traveled out almost to the Pakistan border in an area called Bap. And we saw how people are living in areas that receive a scant 6 to 9 inches of rainfall per year in just 2 or 3 storms in a 1-month period. So it was one of the most challenging environments that I've ever seen people actually practicing rain-fed agriculture in. So we spent a couple days traveling around with the NGO GRAVIS Jodhpur to see the work that they're doing in the Thar Desert, the most densely populated desert in the world. So overall, this trip for me has just been really, it's been really intense and beautiful and really mind expanding. Going from seeing the strategies in the wet, humid, tropical areas of India, rich with rice fields and water, rivers and ponds and water buffalo, and this real sense of abundance and bananas and all of these tropical fruits, journeying from there, the wet tropical parts, all the way through this whole span up the west coast of India, up the east coast of India, all the way now to the harsh deserts of Rajasthan. I have seen water structures, water harvesting structures, I've seen water harvesting structures, groundwater aquifer restoration, tree planting, organic farming systems, permaculture farming systems, animal husbandry, ecological restoration, erosion control, right? So many incredible aspects of this new world that we are working to create here. So I hope that you can take this learning journey with me and watch the India's Watershed Repair Tour and come along and see this incredible span of diverse ecologies, diverse strategies, and inspiration that I've discovered along this path. So I hope that you can come with me and join me and watch this series.
Thank you.
Something like that.